So all across the world, people are voting for right-wing politicians. You see this in Asia with Japan recently, and you see this in Europe. And the reason for this is understandable. The economic system for young people, as evidenced by the fact that they're having very few children. If young people are not having children, that's an indicator that there is something wrong with them. Okay? So you look at what's going on. They're having fewer children. You have youth unemployment rate very high in Europe in particular. And of course, they're going to vote hoping that that will change the system. Now, the root of the problems, unfortunately, aren't going to really be solved by necessarily voting someone different. The root of the problem is that people are not thinking. They're not thinking rationally. So in the face of nihilism, which, yes, is bad, it's anti-reason, in some cases, people are trying to replace it with mysticism. Now, mysticism isn't nihilism, but it's not the solution either. People need to think. You can't expect the government to do anything for you. It's not going to make you happy. It's not going to solve your problems. It is a body of force. And people, they want the political change, thinking that the government, if you get somebody else in charge, the government will work in a way for them. In many cases, we do see this. And unfortunately, they haven't figured it out that that's not how it works. So when people start to think, you'll start to understand exactly what the causes of the problems are. And one of them is the government. So the solution is actually just the opposite. You need the government out of everything. You need to get the government, you need to deregulate, you need to eliminate taxes, you need to perhaps do something about the central banks that have intertwined our financial systems. Perhaps we could phase in a currency that is money, that is currency that is backed by gold and silver, thus making it money. So that therefore, when people work, they actually are rewarded for their work. They're not, their savings is not bled away by inflation. They're not having to face perpetual high asset prices because you have a central bank that keeps printing and printing, which benefits some people, but as a whole is not good for the economy. It's really siphoning off wealth, and it's transferring wealth from people who work versus people who make bets in the system, or people that are in government that get the money first. So that's the roots of the problem. People are hoping that, like I said before, the government will save them. But you have to understand, like I said, government is force. It's never run by perfect people, even in the best case scenario. Even if you had good intentions, somebody with good intentions is not going to make a situation for you. At best, what they could do is get out of your way. Okay, so you have your problems, and it's 100% up to you to take responsibility for those issues and solve your problems. Sure. There's a lot of poverty, sure. There's been a lot of wealth being siphoned off and given to certain other people. Defense contractors, I could just name off the top of my head. And yes, you see poverty everywhere. But it also has to do with the destruction of human capital. In other words, people are being dumbed down. You have the introduction of a lot of drugs in the system. You have people, like I said before, that are not thinking rationally. And if people can't think rationally, they can't deal with each other unless they start to... People's interactions break down when people are not thinking rationally. So you get more violence, for example. And you get more fraud. You get people who are not optimizing themselves in the way they need to optimize themselves. So people need to learn how to think. That is the root of all this. You can't have justice without the ability to reason. Otherwise, you'll have vengeance. So The Justice Department, you want a functioning Justice Department, you need people to think. You need to have that kind of pressure. People need to say, well, we need to protect our Constitution because it is the document that is holding the government in theory that makes this a free country. It actually limits the government so that we can be free. That's being eroded. And it's being eroded, by the way, from both parties. It's not just one or the other. So yes, globalism is bad. Yes, it's very much reasonable to vote out the globalist factions in our political system. But it's going to take a lot more than that to actually solve the problems. People need to actually learn how to think.